Sonic the Hedgehog, a wholesome series that had many ups as well as downs, and through those ups and downs, I have remained a loyal fan throughout. But that's not going to stop me from pointing out where Sonic and Sega have fucked up. I know many others have done the same, but they're nothing more than pot shots at pointing out the obvious. Am I copying Pro Jared? You bet your ass I am. So without further ado, these are the top 7 worst things that Sonic and Sega have ever done.
Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1 and 2 are not bad games, but as modern, retro throwbacks, they could have been a lot better. Episode 2 is undoubtedly better than Episode 1 by fixing what was wrong and included a new teamwork gimmick. Even the visual story of Eggman capturing Little Planet and transforming it into the Death Egg Mark II was interesting. At the end of the game, we see Sonic and Tails flee from the Death Egg and fall back to the planet, but the Death Egg still remains. No kaboom. Where's the epilogue? More importantly, where's Episode 3? This is one of my biggest pet peeves with games. Never end on a cliffhanger. Well, someone discovered unused cutscene data in Episode 2 with the text "to be continued," suggesting that Episode 3 was planned. So, what happened? Ken Barlow, Sega Digital brand manager, was quoted saying the unused text was because there was going to be an Episode 3. For reasons I can't discuss, Episode 3 never came to pass. But the idea back during Episode 1 was to make a full trilogy. Looking at the reviews for both episodes, you can see why they made this decision. But many fans like me, who unironically enjoy these games, want to see the conclusion. So, Sega, please ignore the critics and finish this trilogy already. The classic Mega Drive games are great and still stand the test of time even after a quarter of a century. And bringing back classic Sonic and the classic gameplay style for Sonic Generations alongside modern Sonic was a nice nostalgic throwback, not to mention being a fun game. But let's move on with fresh ideas. So what's next for Sonic's 25th anniversary? Sonic Mania, another retro throwback akin to Sonic 4 but is retro looking game made by the fans? Okay. Project Sonic 2017 looks interesting, going for a more mature story. Oh, what the hell! Don't get me wrong, I like classic Sonic, but Sega is still banking on our hardcore nostalgic fans by putting all their eggs in the classic Sonic basket. It makes me wonder if we're going to see classic Sonic come back once every 5 years for the anniversary titles. Please don't make this a tradition. Surprises like this should come as a freak occurrence and save it like a fine meal, not something to expect like your grandma making you an ugly Christmas sweater. Great games get ported all the time as re-releases, digital downloads, or in compilations. Services such as the Xbox Live Arcade, Nintendo's Virtual Console, and Steam house a plethora of classic games for older fans to replay on current systems, as well as introducing younger gamers to many great classics before they were even born. I can't count how many times games like Final Fantasy, Super Mario Bros, and Sonic the Hedgehog have been ported over the years, but great games like those deserve to be ported. So the question is, Sega, when the hell are you going to port Knuckles Chaotix? You managed to give Sonic the Fighters a HD port, not to mention the middle finger you gave to American Sonic fans by having Sonic Heroes be a European and Japanese exclusive to PlayStation Network. There are fans of these games, Sega, and would love to play them on current systems. Then there's the remasters of both Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic 2 by Taxman. I've heard they're great remasters that outshine the original. I say heard because I haven't had the chance to play them, with them both being exclusive to mobile. Why weren't these remasters published for console and Steam at the same time as mobile like you did with Sonic CD? Was it because you already released them in the Sega Vintage line? If 2K can compensate those who bought the original BioShock on Steam with a free copy of the remaster, why can't you, Sega? Rushing games to completion can break them. This is a proven fact. I can't think of one example where a rush game was actually good. So there's nothing to hide when talking about the legendary disasters that are Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 and Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. It's either a miracle or a curse that these games were even released to store shelves. From my perspective, Sonic 06 should have been cancelled. From Yuji Naka leaving as head of Sonic Team, the team itself being split into two with the B team going off to make secret rings, and what was left of the A team being forced to meet a deadline. There was no way this game was going to win any awards. Loading times, story, gameplay, glitches, blaze. This was the catalyst for all the hate Sonic gets and what the fans had to put up with for all these years. Even if for some reason someone remasters this game and fixes all the bugs and loading times, it wouldn't make it better. Okay, maybe it can, somewhat. The story will still suck though. Sonic Boom Riser Lyric, on the other hand, could have been good if there was an ounce of intelligence behind it. The reason why is because this was a fresh start with a redesigned cast and new perspective, but so many mistakes were made along the way that it should have been cancelled too. The story wasn't consistent with what the writers were saying and came off as lazy and generic. The combat was bland and repetitive, but I think the biggest mistake was releasing it on the Wii U. I know Sega had the free exclusive games deal they signed with Nintendo, but that 11th hour decision sunk that ship quickly. Not to mention trying to develop a game powered by the CryEngine 3 for the Wii U. There was so much hope for this game, but its release completely shattered any and all enthusiasm, with some fans bullying those who say they like Sonic Boom. TV show's pretty good though. Fuck you, 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 fuck you! The Chao Garden and the Adventure and Advanced games were some of the best distractions Sonic games had to offer. Having an almost zen-like appeal, raising and breeding the unique Chao creatures offered endless hours of replay value, especially in Sonic Adventure 2. The last time a Chao Garden was implemented was in Sega Superstars for the PS2, where you could, in a sense, physically interact with your Chao with the EyeToy. That was in 2004. There hasn't been a Chao Garden in any Sonic or Sonic Team developed games since then. Even with new hardware that was released between then and now, Sega and Sonic Team never took advantage of this. Sure, they made games for these systems, but the idea of a simplistic Chao Garden game never crossed their minds, even when games like Nintendogs were released. I literally drew up design documents detailing how the game could work on the DS or Wii, and could still be plausible on the 3DS, Wii U, Switch, and even mobile. But the most infuriating thing was that Takeshi Iizuka himself asked the attendees of Summer of Sonic 2012 if we wanted a new Chao Garden game. The response was a resounding yes. Again, that was in 2012. We haven't seen or heard anything resembling a Chao Garden since then. Either they're working on it in secret and want us to be perfect, or they completely ignored us. That is not cool. Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Mega Drive is a strong pinpoint in gaming history. While others seemed content to emulate Nintendo Super Mario, Sega outright challenged them with Sonic, a simple, challenging platformer with a focus on speedrunning. This was the start of the greatest console war, Sega versus Nintendo, Sonic versus Mario. Even after Sega dropped from the hardware market and produced games for Nintendo systems, people still argue which is better. I personally like Sonic over Mario, and Sonic 1 is still good. So how did they fuck up this port? The Game Boy Advance is not a Mega Drive or a Super Nintendo, but at least other 16-bit ports were at least 95% faithful to the original, with bug fixes and some extras thrown in thanks to the better hardware and processing power. Aside from a save feature and the spin dash, Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis failed on graphics with a cramped screen resolution, ear-bleeding sound quality, and even gameplay. You cannot stop moving even after hitting a wall. You may be asking why I didn't lump this with Sonic 06 and Boom Riser Lyric. Well, those games are bad, yes, but at least they were something new and could and did fuck up. This was an already great game they somehow managed to fuck up. If this was a young fan's first experience with classic Sonic, it's more than likely they were scared off from ever playing the classic games. And just to rub it in Sega's face, Sonic fan game developer Stealth made a proof of concept demo of Sonic 1 on the Game Boy Advance. Though it still has a screen crunch, it sure as hell sounds a lot better and plays exactly like the original game.
Now, even though you hear me rant and rave, I can't stress enough that I still love Sonic the Hedgehog. Even when it's the laughingstock of the video game industry, I still have fond memories of playing the games, reading the comics, and even waking up early to watch the cartoons, as do many others. So Sega, if you're watching this, please take these points into consideration. And most importantly, give us a Chao Garden game! You can't just dangle a possibility in front of us and not do anything with it!